good morning, or good evening, wherever you are right now. How's the weather on your side? Here it's one of those calm, quiet mornings. I've got my coffee right here, still warm. You know that first sip that just wakes your whole system up. Yeah, that kind of moment. Did you sleep well? I hope you did, and if not, it's okay. You're here now, we reset from here. Welcome to wellA+mind podcast. Yes, our very first podcast. And honestly, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here this early in the journey, because this channel, it's not just content. This is a space where we slow down, think deeply, and grow intentionally. Here we talk about psychology, philosophy, real-life patterns, the way the mind works, and how we can actually use that to build a better version of ourselves. Not just motivated, but aware. Not just inspired, but disciplined. And I'd love for you to be part of this. So if you have topics, questions, things you're curious about, things you're struggling with, comment them down below. I read those. I take them seriously. Because this is a conversation, not just a podcast. So for today's session, we're going to talk about something that most people don't even realize is costing them their growth. Mastery in an era where everyone shares everything. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to glide through success quietly, while others shout their plans to the world and somehow never get there? You might think that visibility is key, that if people know your intentions, the universe will help you manifest them. But here's the truth. Most of what people think about success is completely backwards. Today, we're going to explore a counterintuitive idea, one that might feel uncomfortable at first. That idea is simple yet powerful. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is strategy. The world's greatest strategists, leaders, and innovators operate in the shadows. They keep their moves unseen, their plans unannounced until the perfect moment. And when they do reveal themselves, the impact is undeniable. By the end of this session, you'll understand why the loudest announcements often hide weakness, while quiet execution is a superpower you can harness. Section 1. The silent move, the power of not revealing. Let's start with the silent move. Most of us live in a world that rewards visibility. Social media teaches us to announce every progress, every intention, every small victory. But consider this. Every time you broadcast your next step, you are leaking your power. Think of your goals like pieces of a puzzle. When you announce them prematurely, you're giving the puzzle pieces to others. And now, they can see your strategy, anticipate your moves, and even work against you without you knowing. Take chess, for example. A grandmaster doesn't say, "Next, I will move my knight to threaten your bishop." No, they calculate, they wait, and they strike when the timing is perfect. The opponent only sees the impact, not the preparation. Or consider entrepreneurs quietly developing products in stealth mode. They don't announce their idea until the prototype is ready. Why? Because revealing too early could invite competition, copycats, or unnecessary criticism. By staying silent, they control the narrative and the timing of impact. So what's the takeaway here? Silence is not about hiding or avoiding the world. It's about building a fortress for your ideas, skills, and energy, and letting the results speak for themselves when the time is right. Section 2. The counterintuitive mystery of noise. Now, let's explore why noise is actually dangerous, even if it feels productive. Most people believe success requires loud announcements. We see it everywhere. Motivational quotes about sharing your vision, articles about manifesting your goals, and social media influencers posting every step of their journey. But here's the paradox. Every time you broadcast, you are giving away a part of your power. Imagine this scenario. An entrepreneur announces a revolutionary app idea online before it's built. They get likes, comments, maybe even praise. The dopamine feels amazing. But what's happening behind the scenes? A competitor sees the plan, builds faster, improves it, and launches first. That public celebration of intention just became an invitation for others to outperform you. This is what I call the counterintuitive mystery of noise. What feels like momentum, the attention, the validation, the excitement, is often a vulnerability in disguise. The best strategists don't fall for this. They know that true impact is revealed, not promised. The loudest voices rarely win. The quietest actions often deliver the most powerful outcomes. Section 3. The psychology of premature reveals. Why then do we feel compelled to announce our plans? Why do we crave validation? Let's dig into the psychology. The dopamine hit. When you share a goal, your brain rewards you with a small dopamine release. It tricks you into feeling progress has been made. You might post, share, or tell someone your intentions and feel satisfied. But this is fake progress. You haven't actually executed, you've just celebrated intention. The validation trap. Social media is designed to make you feel good for attention. Likes, comments, and shares feel like success. But when you depend on external validation, your internal drive weakens. You start focusing on the applause, not the actual work. The diluted urgency. Announcing a goal can subconsciously reduce your urgency to achieve it. Your mind relaxes because it perceives the job as partially done. You've already shared it with the world. In short, sharing your plans too soon gives your brain the illusion of completion. And this illusion is toxic for real execution. Here's a question for you. How often have you felt proud of announcing a goal, only to find yourself procrastinating afterward? That's your brain's reward system tricking you into thinking you've achieved something, when in reality, the real work hasn't even begun. Understanding this psychology is essential. Once you see the trap, you can break free from it and start operating like a strategist. Section 4. How the best strategists use silence. Now let's talk about applying this. What does strategic silence really look like? Chess players, every move is calculated, every strategy hidden. They don't announce their intentions, they strike. Entrepreneurs and innovators, they build quietly, test concepts, iterate in private, and launch only when ready. Think of a tech startup in stealth mode. Their success is amplified because the world never saw the prep, it only sees the result. Leaders and negotiators, they listen more than they speak. By controlling the flow of information, they stay unpredictable. The lesson here is universal. Execute quietly, reveal selectively, and let your results speak. When you embrace this principle, you gain 3 major advantages. Focus. All your energy goes into execution, not performance or approval. Protection. Competitors cannot preempt your moves if they don't know what they are. Impact. Revealing results at the right time creates maximum influence and authority. Section 5. Practical steps to embrace the silent move. Silence isn't easy in today's world. We're wired to broadcast, share, and seek validation. But here's how you can practice the silent move. Stop broadcasting your goals. Keep your plans private until milestones are achieved. Measure success internally. Focus on personal metrics, progress that only you can see, rather than likes or comments. Build your fortress. Dedicate uninterrupted time to work quietly, consistently, and without distraction. Celebrate in private. Let the work itself be your reward before public recognition. Reveal selectively. When you do share, it should be a finished product that is undeniable in impact, not a promise or draft. The more you apply this, the more you'll notice a shift. Quiet action breeds momentum. It feels heavier, more substantial, and it protects your advantage until the moment of revelation. Lastly, the silent advantage. To wrap up, success isn't about announcing your every move. Loud declarations are often a mask for insecurity or impatience. True power operates quietly. By building in silence, we preserve focus, protect our strategy, and amplify the impact of our results. Noise is a leak, silence is a fortress. So I challenge you. Next time you're tempted to announce your next big goal, pause. Ask yourself, does sharing this advance my execution, or am I leaking my power? Build your fortress, execute in silence, and when the time is right, let the results speak for themselves. Remember, the quietest strategies often lead to the loudest victories. Now let's talk about the strategic fortress of silence. Think about this. In a competitive world, the information you hold about your plans, your next move, or your strategies is a non-renewable resource. Once it's shared, it's gone forever. You cannot take it back. Yet most people give it away freely, thinking that transparency builds trust or momentum. But the truth is, strategic silence is one of the most powerful tools you can have. Today, we'll explore how treating your information like a precious resource can create a fortress around your strategy, keeping competitors off balance and giving you control over your outcomes. Section 1. Private information as a non-renewable resource. Let's start with the idea that information is precious. Every plan you make, every insight you gain, every idea you nurture, these are assets. And in a competitive landscape, once you share them, you risk losing your edge. Think about it like rare gems. You wouldn't scatter diamonds around for free, right? Yet that's exactly what happens when we overshare our goals or intentions. For example, imagine a company developing a groundbreaking technology. If they leak details prematurely, competitors can react, copy, or even sabotage their efforts. By keeping information private, the company retains control over timing, messaging, and execution. Even in personal contexts, career moves, creative projects, negotiations, sharing your next steps too early can allow others to shape the outcome in ways that work against you. The key principle: value your information as you would a finite, irreplaceable resource. Guard it, protect it, spend it only when it maximizes impact. Section 2. Creating a tactical vacuum. Next, let's talk about the tactical vacuum. When you remain silent about your intentions, you create uncertainty for everyone around you, competitors, peers, even collaborators. And uncertainty is powerful. People fill gaps in knowledge with assumptions, and those assumptions often work in your favor. Think of a chess player who doesn't reveal their strategy. The opponent is forced to guess, to react, to adjust, but they're always a step behind. That's the tactical vacuum. Or consider a business quietly preparing a market launch. If no one knows what's coming, competitors waste energy trying to anticipate moves. By remaining silent, you force others into a reactive posture while you operate proactively. Silence in this sense isn't passive. It's an active strategy. It's control through invisibility. You're shaping the landscape without exposing your hand. Section 3. Shifting from defensive to proactive. Finally, let's explore how controlled information allows you to shift from a defensive posture to a proactive one. Most people operate defensively. They announce, they justify, they explain, and then they react when someone challenges or undermines them. This is exhausting and weakens execution. By keeping your plans private, you retain initiative. You choose when to act, how to act, and who to involve. You're no longer responding to the world, you're shaping it. Consider a high-stakes negotiation. Revealing your strategy too early puts you on the defensive. Hold back key information, observe, and respond at the optimal moment. You move from reacting to controlling. Or in personal growth, when you quietly build skills, knowledge, or projects without announcing them, you eventually emerge with results that cannot be contested or preempted. The lesson: controlled information transforms silence into strategy. It converts your resources into influence, your patience into power, and your discretion into a tactical advantage. So to summarize, treat your information as a non-renewable resource. Guard it like a precious asset. Create a tactical vacuum. Let others guess, react, and miscalculate. Use controlled disclosure to shift from defensive to proactive. Execute silently, reveal deliberately. When you master the strategic fortress of silence, you are no longer vulnerable to external pressures. You are in control. You dictate timing, impact, and outcomes. Remember, in a world that glorifies constant sharing, your quiet, calculated moves are the true superpower. The next time you feel the urge to announce your next step, ask yourself, am I leaking my advantage or am I building my fortress? Choose wisely. Your silence is your strength. Now, what is building proof through undeniable results? Imagine this. Two individuals have been working on the same goal for months. One posts daily updates online, talks about progress, and announces every intention. The other works quietly in the background, making incremental improvements no one sees. When the final outcome arrives, who do you think commands more respect? The truth is clear. Results, not words, carry weight. Today, we're going to explore how building proof through undeniable results is a strategic tool that transforms quiet labor into influence, authority, and leverage. We'll see why sudden, high-impact outcomes resonate far more than gradual announcements, and how the element of surprise can become your most powerful psychological lever. Section 1. Letting the weight of the final product speak. First, let's talk about letting the final product speak. There's something almost visceral about witnessing a completed, high-quality outcome. Months of effort, sleepless nights, problem-solving, and quiet iteration suddenly materialize into a tangible proof of competence and skill. And here's the strategic brilliance. The audience doesn't see the months of struggle, they only feel the impact. Take Elon Musk's SpaceX as an example. For years, the company worked quietly on reusable rockets. The media and competitors could guess, but they didn't know the exact trajectory or capabilities. When SpaceX successfully launched and landed a reusable rocket, the world couldn't ignore it. The product itself did the talking. No words, no hype, just undeniable proof. Or in personal terms, imagine an artist working on a series of paintings for months without showing anyone. When the exhibition opens, the sudden reveal creates awe and respect. The weight of the work overshadows any need for prior explanation. The principle here is clear. Let the result embody your effort. Make your work undeniable so others have no choice but to acknowledge it. Section 2. The power of sudden high-impact outcomes. Now let's explore why sudden, high-impact results command more respect than incremental updates. When you reveal something fully formed, people experience a cognitive and emotional jolt. The surprise triggers a stronger impression because the brain naturally pays more attention to unexpected events. This is why announcements of groundbreaking products, viral campaigns, or sudden career achievements generate buzz. They break expectations. Consider J.K. Rowling. No one knew the full scope of Harry Potter when she wrote the early books. The world only experienced the finished stories, one by one. Had she publicly disclosed every plot point during writing, the impact would have been diluted. By letting the story emerge in its final form, the outcome carried massive psychological weight. In business, think of companies like Apple. They famously work in secrecy and unveil products with show-stopping reveals. Consumers don't follow leaks, they respond to the finished product. The sudden impact validates months or years of work without having to justify every incremental step. For personal application, if you're learning a skill, building a project, or developing expertise, avoid the urge to share every stage. Let people experience your competency as a whole. The sudden clarity of your achievement leaves no room for doubt, only respect. Section 3. Transforming surprise into a psychological lever. Finally, let's discuss how the element of surprise becomes a strategic lever. When your results emerge suddenly, they create a psychological advantage. Others must reassess assumptions, recalibrate expectations, and often yield influence to you. Surprise is a cognitive shock that can reset social and professional hierarchies. In negotiations, for example, revealing a major achievement, skill, or advantage at the perfect moment can shift leverage dramatically. If your opponent expects a weak position and you unveil proof of superior preparation or capability, their reactions become defensive. Suddenly, the psychological balance tilts in your favor. Consider military strategy as well. Historical generals like Napoleon or Sun Tzu used surprise not just to attack, but to psychologically dominate opponents. The unexpected outcome forced adversaries to rethink everything, and that mental edge was often decisive. Even in daily life, if you quietly develop expertise or create a tangible product, then reveal it at the optimal moment, the respect, credibility, and influence you gain far exceeds what could have been achieved by constant announcements or partial disclosures. The lesson is this: use the power of surprise intentionally. Let your results speak and let timing amplify the impact. To summarize, let the weight of your final product speak. Months of quiet labor gain value through tangible proof. Sudden, high-impact outcomes resonate far more than gradual announcements. They create clarity, awe, and respect. Transform surprise into a psychological lever. Reveal strategically and shift influence in your favor. In a world obsessed with visibility, remember, the loudest talkers rarely leave the strongest impression. The quiet achievers, with undeniable results, shape reality without needing permission or validation. So the next time you work tirelessly on a goal, resist the urge to announce incremental progress. Build proof. Let your results command attention. And when the moment comes, watch the world respond, not to your words but to your undeniable accomplishment. Now let's discuss the discipline of professional secrecy. Why silence is a skill. Here's a question. How often do you feel like you have to explain yourself? How often do you tell people your plans, your projects, or your intentions, thinking it will help you, but instead it creates unnecessary pressure or even leaks your advantage? Here's the thing. Professional secrecy isn't about hiding your work out of fear. It's a discipline. It's a skill that allows you to protect your energy, sharpen your focus, and maximize the impact of what you're building. Over the next 15 minutes, we're going to break down what it takes to master this discipline, how to set boundaries, how to network without oversharing, and how to survive the dark phase when no one knows what you're working on. This is where the real magic happens. Because let's be honest, the quietest, most focused people often get the biggest results. Setting boundaries without burning bridges. First up, setting boundaries. Every project, idea, or goal has a circle of people who might be curious: friends, family, colleagues, and most of them mean well. But if you share too much too soon, even unintentionally, you risk leaks, advice overload, or misaligned opinions. Think of it like a VIP room in a club. Only the people you really trust get access. You don't hand the keys to everyone. Example: a startup founder might have a trusted advisory board of 3 people who know the full plan. Meanwhile, casual acquaintances only hear the high-level mission. The difference is control. You manage who sees what. Another way to look at it: in creative projects, writers, musicians, or designers often share drafts only with a select few. Too many opinions early can dilute the vision. Boundaries preserve integrity. The takeaway: decide who actually needs the information and give them just enough to help, nothing more. Protect the rest of your project until it's ready for prime time. Networking without oversharing. Next, networking without oversharing. Networking is essential: resources, connections, mentorship. But here, the trap. Sometimes we think networking is about looking impressive rather than getting what we need. That's when ego sneaks in. Imagine you're at an industry event. You meet someone influential. You're tempted to tell them every detail of your project to impress them. What happens? They may forget the details. They may pass judgment too early. They may even use your ideas without adding value. Instead, think of networking like a menu. You offer just the highlights, enough to intrigue, enough to create trust, but you keep the secret sauce to yourself. Example, many tech entrepreneurs follow this principle. They pitch only what's necessary for funding or partnership, keeping product innovations under wraps until launch. The less you overshare, the more curiosity and respect you create. It's not secrecy for secrecy's sake. It's about strategic information sharing, network for resources, not validation. Let results prove your competence. Surviving the dark phase. Now let's talk about the toughest part, the dark phase. This is when you're deep in a project. No one sees your progress. You're not posting updates. You might even question yourself. It's lonely, and the pressure to explain yourself can feel overwhelming. But here, the key. Silence is part of the process. The dark phase is where the real work happens. Think of it like planting seeds underground. No one sees it growing, but it's developing roots that will support an unstoppable tree later. Example, writers often spend years drafting novels in isolation. Musicians practice for months before releasing a single. Entrepreneurs build minimum viable products quietly. The world only sees the outcome, and that's when the respect and impact come. Tips for surviving the dark phase. Set mental boundaries. Remind yourself that the world doesn't need updates until there's something tangible. Limit explanations. Don't feel the need to justify progress or setbacks to everyone. Only report to people who matter strategically. Celebrate privately. Reward yourself for milestones in the process. This keeps motivation high without leaking sensitive information. Remember, the discomfort of silence is temporary. The payoff of a fully formed result is permanent. Making secrecy a habit. So how do you turn professional secrecy into a consistent habit? Audit your information flow. Identify who really needs to know what. Ask yourself before sharing, does this serve the project or my ego? Create zones of privacy. Keep a notebook, digital folder, or workspace dedicated only to the inner circle. Everything else stays out of public view. Practice saying no gracefully. You don't have to share everything to maintain relationships. Learning to withhold strategically builds discipline and respect. Embrace the discomfort. Silence feels strange at first, but the more you do it, the more it becomes your default mode. By turning secrecy into a deliberate habit, you protect your energy, amplify impact, and control the narrative of your work. To wrap it up, set clear boundaries with your inner circle to prevent leaks. Network for value, not validation, share selectively. Embrace the dark phase of projects without feeling pressured to explain. Professional secrecy is not about hiding, it's about strategic discipline. It's about controlling your energy, protecting your work, and setting yourself up for maximum impact. So the next time you feel the urge to overshare or justify your progress, ask yourself, is this helping my project or just my ego? Remember, the most successful people don't announce every move. They execute quietly, they protect their process, and when the world finally sees the result, it's undeniable. Silence is not weakness, it's a fortress, and mastering it is one of the most powerful professional skills you can develop. The final point we will cover is mastery in an era of radical transparency. Why quiet competence is rare gold. Let me ask you a question again. In 2026, when the world is more transparent than ever, with social media, live updates, and instant reporting, what's actually rare? It's not skill, it's not knowledge, it's quiet competence, the ability to work, improve, and achieve without broadcasting every step along the way. Think about it. Everyone is posting their wins, sharing every pivot, every progress report. But when it comes to real mastery, the people who succeed consistently are often invisible while they're building. Quiet competence is rare because it's hard. It requires discipline, patience, and the ability to resist external validation. And here's the kicker. In a world obsessed with visibility, quiet competence becomes the most valuable currency. By the end of this session, you'll understand how to leverage the mystery of your process, build a strong personal brand over time, and treat your work like a classified operation until it's complete. Why quiet competence is rare now. Let's start here. We live in a time where everything is visible, everything is shared. Every step, every update, every "I'm working on something big" post. And at first, it feels like that's the way to succeed, right? Like if people don't see you working, maybe you're not progressing. But let me tell you something gently, like a reminder you didn't know you needed. Real growth doesn't need an audience. In fact, the people who are truly mastering something are usually the quietest ones in the room. Because they're not distracted. They're not checking who liked their update. They're not explaining their progress. They're not seeking reassurance every step of the way. They're just working. And that kind of focus, it's rare now, that's why it's powerful. Think about it like this. When someone suddenly becomes really good at something, like really good, we say, "Wow, where did that come from?" But the truth is, it didn't come out of nowhere. It came from months and maybe years of quiet effort that nobody saw. That's what I mean by quiet competence. It's not loud, it's not flashy. But when it shows up, it's undeniable. And in 2026, that's your edge. Why quiet competence wins in a transparent world. Let's start with why quiet competence matters so much today. Radical transparency is everywhere. Work is shared, progress is tracked, and achievements are broadcast in real time. At first glance, this seems empowering, but it also creates noise. The loudest voices often drown out the real skill. Quiet competence, by contrast, has a few key advantages. Focus without distraction. You don't get pulled into the constant need for likes, comments, or validation. Your energy goes straight into building skill, knowledge, or results. Surprise factor. When you finally reveal your capabilities or deliver results, people are genuinely impressed. There's no expectation because they never saw the work being done. Credibility through proof. The market, peers, or leaders respect what is proven, not what is promised. Let's take Elon Musk again as an example. SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink. He doesn't announce every prototype, every failed iteration. He quietly tests, adjusts, and iterates. When results hit, the world sees undeniable proof, not promises. Or consider top-level consultants or creative directors. The ones who execute quietly are trusted because their work consistently delivers. The noisemakers might look impressive for a moment, but quiet competence creates a reputation that lasts decades. Practical takeaway. In a world obsessed with showing off, staying quiet and delivering results is your edge. Why mystery makes you more powerful. Now let's talk about something people underestimate. Mystery. Not mystery in a dramatic way, but in a strategic way. You see, when you reveal everything about your process, you remove curiosity. People already know your next step. They already understand your journey. There's nothing left to discover. But when you hold back just a little, something interesting happens. People start to wonder. They pay more attention. They respect your space. They take your results more seriously. Think of it like storytelling. If I told you the ending of a movie before you watched it, would it feel the same? Of course not. The impact comes from not knowing. And your life, your work, your growth is no different. Let me give you a simple example. Two people are building something. One posts every step. Day 1, day 5, day 10, still working, still trying. The other quiet, no updates. Then one day, boom, they launch something solid, complete, thought through. Who do you think feels more powerful in that moment? Exactly. Because mystery doesn't just protect your process. It amplifies your results. It turns your work into something people feel, not just see. Using the mystery of your process to build a brand. Most people think personal branding means sharing every move online. They post progress, updates, lessons learned, every micro step. But here's a secret. What people remember is what they don't fully see. Think of it like a magician. The less they reveal about the trick, the more awe and respect they create. The same principle applies to your career or business. Example, consider a software developer working on a new app. If they post every update on social media, the narrative is predictable. But if they quietly refine the app, test features, and iterate when the final product launches, it's a spectacle. That mystery builds intrigue, respect, and trust over time. Another example, professional athletes often train in private. Fans see the performance, not the countless hours of preparation. This creates admiration because the result appears larger than life. So how does mystery help your personal brand? People associate competence with depth. If you reveal too much too early, you flatten the perceived value. Mystery keeps your audience engaged. They want to see the finished product. It protects you from unsolicited criticism during the development process. Here's a useful tip. Treat your process like a story unfolding. Only reveal the chapters that matter strategically. Let the work itself do the talking. Treating your work like a classified operation. Now this is where things get serious, but in a good way. I want you to start thinking about your goals, your projects, your ideas as something classified. Not because you're hiding, but because you respect it. You protect it. Let me explain. Every time you share your plans too early, you expose them to noise, opinions, doubts, unnecessary feedback, and sometimes even subtle discouragement. Not because people are bad, but because not everyone sees what you see. So instead of defending your vision, why not build it first? Quietly, like this. You work on it behind the scenes. You refine it. You fix mistakes without pressure. You improve without explanation. And then, when it's ready, you present it, not as an idea, but as proof. That shift, it changes everything. You go from, let me explain what I'm trying to do, to, hear what I've done. And people respond differently to that. They listen more. They respect more. They question less. Because results don't argue. Treating every move like a classified operation. Here's the next level. Treating your work like a classified operation. This doesn't mean paranoia. It means discipline, strategy, and intention. Every decision, every step, every innovation is treated with the care of something that cannot leak prematurely. How do you implement this? Controlled information sharing. Only tell people what they need to know, not everything. Keep sensitive steps private until the right moment. Inner circle discipline. Build a trusted group for feedback and advice. Limit access outside this circle to prevent leaks, distractions, or misaligned guidance. Document and protect. Keep private logs, confidential drafts, and secure workspaces for critical tasks. In the digital age, information spreads fast. Don't underestimate small leaks. Internal accountability. Hold yourself responsible for not oversharing. Ask yourself before posting, messaging, or revealing, does this advance the work or just my ego? Real-world example. Think of Apple's product development. Rumors abound, but even internal leaks are controlled carefully. By the time the iPhone is unveiled, the reveal feels like a global event. That level of secrecy transforms a product launch into a spectacle. On a personal level, if you're building a new skill, side project, or creative work, create your own classified operation. Work quietly, document carefully, and treat each milestone as confidential until the right moment. How to actually apply this, real talk. Okay, let's bring this down to reality. Because I know what you might be thinking. This sounds good, but how do I actually do this? Let's keep it simple. Start here. Before you share something, pause. Ask yourself, why am I sharing this? Is it to move the work forward? Or to feel seen? Be honest with yourself, no judgment. Next, create a private space for your growth. It could be a notebook, a folder, a routine, something that's just yours, where progress happens without an audience. And then, get comfortable being misunderstood for a while. Because during your quiet phase, people might not see your progress. They might ask, "What are you doing lately?" And your answer might be simple, short, even vague. And that's okay. Not everything needs explanation. Some things just need time. Implementing this strategy in everyday life. Now, how do you take this from theory into practice? Audit your habits. Identify where you overshare. Social media posts, casual updates, constant justification, spot them. Create private zones, digital folders, personal notebooks, or dedicated workspaces where only you or your trusted circle can access your progress. Slow reveal. Decide what to show, and only after it strengthens your credibility or delivers impact. Measure progress internally. Track success metrics privately, not for applause. Internal validation strengthens discipline. Resist ego-driven disclosure. Ask yourself, am I sharing for results or to feel recognized prematurely? These small steps compound over time. By controlling what you reveal and when, your work gains gravity, your reputation grows, and people begin to associate you with unshakable competence. So let's bring it all together. Quiet competence is rare and incredibly valuable in 2026. The world is loud, but those who execute quietly stand out. Mystery enhances your personal brand. People respect what they don't fully understand and want to engage with work that feels significant. Treat your work like a classified operation. Control information, guard your process, and reveal results strategically. Remember this. In an era of radical transparency, the loudest voices may get attention, but it's the silent, disciplined, and competent who command respect, create influence, and leave lasting impact. Next time you feel the urge to announce your next step, pause. Ask yourself, is this advancing my mastery or just feeding someone else's curiosity? Mastery isn't about being seen, it's about being effective. The quieter your journey, the louder your results. Let me leave you with this, because if you remember nothing else from everything we've talked about, remember this part. We are living in a time where everything is visible. Everyone is sharing, announcing, updating constantly. And it creates this quiet pressure, doesn't it? This feeling that if you're not showing your progress, maybe you're falling behind. But that's not true. Some of the most meaningful growth happens in silence. And I say this not just as a professional, but as someone who understands what it feels like to build something while no one is watching. It can feel lonely. It can feel like you owe people explanations, like you need to prove that you're doing something with your life. But you don't. You don't owe the world a preview of your becoming. What you owe yourself is the space to grow properly. Because when you treat your ideas, your goals, your next moves as something valuable, as something that deserves protection, you begin to operate differently. You become more focused, more intentional, less distracted by noise and more anchored in purpose. And when you stop announcing every step, something powerful happens. You start finishing things. You start building things with depth. You start surprising even yourself. That's what quiet competence does. It builds substance. And over time, people will notice, not because you told them to, but because your results become impossible to ignore. That's the kind of reputation that lasts. Not one built on constant visibility, but one built on consistency, discipline, and undeniable proof. And here's something I really want you to hold on to, especially during those moments when you're in the middle of your journey, when things feel slow or uncertain or invisible. Just because no one sees it doesn't mean it's not working. Just because it's quiet doesn't mean it's not powerful. You are allowed to be in your dark phase without explaining yourself. You are allowed to build without broadcasting. You are allowed to protect your process like it matters, because it does. And one day when your work is ready, fully formed, solid, undeniable, you won't need to convince anyone of your value. Your work will speak. Your results will carry weight. And your presence will feel different, grounded, earned, and respected. So take your time. Build your fortress. Guard your energy. Move with intention. And trust this: the quieter your preparation, the louder your impact will be. You're not behind. You're just building the right way. And hey, if this kind of conversation speaks to you, if you're someone who's trying to understand yourself better, think deeper, grow mentally, emotionally, then stay with me. We're going to keep having these kinds of talks about psychology, philosophy, mindset, and everything that helps you strengthen not just your life, but your mind. So stay tuned, take care of your thoughts, protect your energy. And I'll see you in the next one.